Hi, everybody. So it is wonderful to be among you. Welcome to the AVID Vines virtual champagne tasting. What? So we're all sort of sequestered in our homes, keeping safe, trying to be well. And what we have for you today is a distraction, a lovely distraction for an hour, where we're going to combine as best we can virtually a bit of community wrapped around some excellent food, some wonderful music that you just heard, and of course some champagne. And it would be my ultimate pleasure to do all this in front of you in person, to be everywhere where you are, and to be sampling the champagne. But the way we've constructed this virtually, we're going to try to do it together. And for those of you who have the champagne on hand and enjoying this Saturday afternoon, fantastic. For those who don't have the champagne and are here to kind of learn a little bit in anticipation of acquiring the champagne immediately afterwards or going forward, welcome. Whatever you've done, you've decided to spend a little time with us, and so we're grateful, and we're going to make it worth your while. So on that little note of gratitude for having this opportunity to come to you today, there's just a couple of things that I want to stress. Okay, so what I want to do is, everyone who has their champagne, this is the André Tessier, beautiful bottle of Carte Perle that we're opening. So if you haven't already, I don't want to stand in the way of having you and your champagne. I don't want to stand in the way. So let's all open the bottle as we speak. And while I'm doing that, I want to, with a lot of gratitude, talk about some of the people who are assisting me with today's tasting and special guests. You've already heard the amazing acoustic musical talents of Ryan Berg from Dallas, Texas. Ryan, take a bow. Yeah. So we'll be hearing more from Ryan throughout the hour. So happy. His music is literally sunshine. It is a sunshine experience. You listen to it and clouds break, smiles start appearing on faces. It's fantastic music. So happy to introduce him to you, and there'll be more music coming, and you'll be able to listen to his music well afterwards. I'm also joined by Chef Adrien Nieto, also from Dallas, Texas. We have a strong Dallas theme. Hello, Adrien. Adrien's a winner from MasterChef Season 2, and we're honored, truly honored, to have his talents with us today. And we're going to go through a really, really cool chef demonstration. Adrien has kind of blown up his kitchen to prepare us with dish after dish of amazing stuff. So I'm also joined by a wonderful partner that could not make this hour possible. That's Heather Queen, sommelier extraordinaire, also from Dallas, who will be joining us in a conversation shortly. Hello, Heather. Yep. And so, without further ado, let's break into the champagne. We'll talk about this a little bit later, but I'm going to pour myself my first little glass. Okay. It is great to see everybody's faces here. I'm overwhelmed. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm so very, very happy. So let's dive in a little bit here. What we want to do is I want to bring Heather into our conversation. And Heather, as I mentioned before, is a sommelier, a certified sommelier. And she has been a true and wonderful partner in this whole experience of bringing the bottles of André Tessier, the champagne of André Tessier, into the country and into Texas and Colorado and other parts as well. So Heather, just to give a quick introduction, and let's just have a conversation about champagne as a broad kind of category, and then we'll get a little bit narrow in the next 10 minutes talking about this particular champagne that's André Tessier. So, hi, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you loud and clear. Fantastic. It's good to see you. How you doing?
I am doing fabulous. I love champagne. For the people on here that know me, I drink champagne pretty much every day of my life. It is such an extraordinary wine, and it just takes winemaking to a whole different level. And you can pair it with pretty much everything. You can eat it with McDonald's French fries. You can eat it with shrimp. You can eat it with pasta. You can drink it all by itself. And what I love about this champagne is that it has that Pinot Meunier as the primary grape that's in it, which we don't normally see from Champagne. We normally see Champagne in Chardonnay or Pinot Noir, but this one, it really highlights the Pinot Meunier and what a great grape that is.
But, you nailed it. I mean, why we enjoy Champagne, one of the things that I love the most is that Champagne immediately, it's the only drink I know that can make you very present. You have like a red wine or a white wine with a meal and it's additive. But when you're drinking Champagne, especially that first glass and taste of Champagne, you're not worrying about the future. You're not thinking about what you did in the past. You are so present. And that's what I love about Champagne and drinking it. And when we talk about Andre Tessier as a particular kind of Champagne, you've got to make mention, we have to bring attention to what's written at the top of the label here, which says Premier Cru, right? So these are areas designated by the French government as the best places in which to grow these grapes. And there's a higher standard and a much higher level of responsibility if you are growing in this region to match and earn this Premier Cru label. That's why these Champagne farmers go generations and generations doing this. And to your point, though, the question about the grapes is we're talking about Pinot Meunier, which is really the workhorse grape of Champagne. It doesn't get a lot of attention after Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, but it's Pinot Meunier, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that brings a lot of the fruit backbone to the Champagne.
Yes. It really, I will tell you, a lot of times when you look at Champagne, you'll, and I'm going to coin this phrase one day if one of y'all doesn't steal it from me today. I like to put champagnes into seasons: spring, summer, fall, and winter. And this is really a summer Champagne to me. It's bright, it's fresh. The Pinot Meunier gives it a backbone. It makes you want to go and sit in the pool, in the floaty, and enjoy the bottle. And then knowing that it's low residual sugar, it's going to allow you to drink the bottle and not really feel bad tomorrow.
I think you nailed it.
Still enjoy, right? And Pinot Meunier really is a backbone. It really gives the structure to the Champagne.
You nailed it. I mean, this is Champagne. I like to say you enjoy twice. You enjoy it when you drink it, and you enjoy it the next day when you wake up with no regrets. And that's the product. And then you drink it again. Right, and then you drink it again. So you have the low residual sugar. You've got organic methods made. So what does that mean? It means the vines aren't sprayed with chemicals. The fertilizer in the ground isn't chemical at all. It's hand pruned. There's no heavy machinery during the harvest. And when you remove these solids and elements that diminish the wine, then you've got to put it in a bottle and send it somewhere. And most places in France, the French consume most of their inventory, most of what they produce. Only about 15 to 20% of it that's sent abroad. And of the Champagne, there's only 5% of all the wines from Europe that come to the U.S. in refrigerated containers. And as the importer, that's the role I play, is that if you're going to talk and tout and raise the level of awareness about organic methods used to make this wonderful Champagne, you dash it if you don't refrigerate it, and if you add sulfites to it, and then for the long haul and send it through the bottle shock that can happen when the Champagne is thrown onto a truck, put into a boat, sent on a boat without any air conditioning or refrigeration, and subjected to temperatures that can be 30 degrees above or 30 degrees below normal. It's no wonder that wines, the more they travel, diminish in their vitality. And that is why we all have wonderful memories of being in the vineyard and drinking close and drinking the product from the vineyard and thinking, this is amazing. I want a taste. And we bring it back home and we taste it, and it's not quite what it was when it was there. You know the reason. But amidst all that, AVID Vines refrigerates the product so it's stable. And what you're tasting here with this beautiful nectar that is Champagne is how it tastes at the cellar door. We've collapsed the distance. And that's a key part of enjoying the Champagne, whether it's Premier Cru. I mean, the rest of that is just getting layer and layer of benefit on top of that. But that's that's the primary part of the care that we take. And we're not. So let's talk about tasting notes. Like, what do you get when you're tasting this? I get like, frankly, I still always get this. It's like a just ripe, a little underripe strawberry and rhubarb. I get like a cobbler, peach cobbler to it. That's like a pastriness to it, and it's good.
You know, you can dissect the wine down like, you know, like a geeky songs like we do all the time. But when you're really just talking about what do you taste in it, this is just an easy champagne to drink. And the yeasty notes are not going to overpower you. You're not going to get that really nutty flavor that you get from a champagne that I consider a fall champagne. You're going to get bright, fresh notes. I actually get a little tree fruit and a little apricot, you know, some of those notes that you get during the summer. And
That's cool.
Sometimes wine can overpower us and you have to drink it with something, with a meal or whatever. This, you can do it either way. You can drink it by itself or you can drink it with food, primarily seafood, I would say. But for the notes, if you just really want to dissect it down to notes, I get a very, very clear tree fruit and a very soft, sweet lemon.
Yeah, and I think that's going to come. We're going to talk more about those notes when Adrien walks us through some of the food. But, you know, right here, I'm just showing in the background, this is the pastoral beauty that is where these wines come from. Where the champagne comes from, and it's the town of Cinagro in France, which is, so where are we talking about? We're talking about an area that's right outside of Reims, which is to the north and east a little bit of Paris. And the two axes of Champagne are Reims and Perle, and there's this slight mountainous range where these champagnes are grown. And I'll preview for it to you now. We're going to be joined by the winemaker himself, Adrien Nieto, and we're going to walk through the cellar in just a couple of moments here for a special treat that we'll all get to share in. But, you know, this is the Premier Cru lens, and this is where, you know, how did it all start? I started at AVID Vines because I wanted to be drinking more clean, you know, experiences that didn't leave me hurting the next day. And sure enough, last night I opened up and frankly, I drank something else besides Adrien Nieto. And this morning I still had my workout, but I was the ever bit of drag, you know, to it. And as we get older, I mean, I love California reds and French reds and whites as much as anyone else, but I had to prepare for these wines, and I had to take the aspirin before, drink plenty of water, take aspirin before I went to bed, and even then, sometimes the next day, maybe I do the workout routine, maybe I don't. And I just got tired of that, and that's not the experience with these champagnes at all. One, caveat, we're not responsible for what you drink after you start with the champagne, so that's got to be put out there. But if you stick to the champagne, you know, you'll be fine the next day, as we'll hopefully all find out here. But that's also why we're having it this wonderful afternoon. You can put a cap back on the champagne and enjoy it for the rest of for the evening as well, if you can, if you have the discipline. I know some of you don't have that, but all the better. So anyway, so I wanted to show you a little bit of Cinagro, and what else can I show you? These are the guys in the field at harvest. We harvest September 9th of 2019. It's the last one, obviously, and the next one will probably be somewhere around September, early September or so. But again, we'll see this in a little bit more detail in just a moment. What else? Okay. Anything else to add, Heather? That you get? I mean, you mentioned actually something interesting about its pairing with food. I mean, champagne. There's a reason why the French have it. If you want, I can get a glass. My wife is just coming into the kitchen, and I'm happy to share my glass. Actually, Heather, can you talk a little bit about glassware and champagne? This would be a good time to talk about.
Sure. So I have a couple glasses here. I don't know if you can see them. Regular old wine glass right here. And then I have this coupe glass, and Allison probably is going to recognize this glass because it's actually her glass. If you have been sequestered and you've been watching TV and you've gone and watched the 6 seasons of Downton Abbey, this is a coupe glass. This is what the English drink out of. It is a fabulous way to drink champagne. You get the smells, you get the effervescent. You don't have to stick your nose down into this little single skinny thing. David, do you have one of the flutes?
Yeah, here's a flute.
And but if you can't get one of these, which a lot of places have them, you can go straight with a white wine glass. It'll give you all of the different ways you can taste the notes of champagne, white wine, any kind of wine. I like to drink mine out of this. And I also often drive servers crazy when I say, oh, I'm sorry, can I have my champagne in a wine glass? But I like to be able to smell what I'm drinking. And I like to, my dad said, can you make champagne out of any grape? No, you cannot, Dad. I'm sorry.
Yep.
You can only do it out of those 3 primary grapes. There are 4 other grapes that they allow in champagne. However, you don't see them in use a whole lot. You just really see champagne and Pinot Noir, Champagne, Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and Pinot Meunier. So that was the answer to your question. He has a personal line, right, to me. But to go back to the glassware, I really like to drink mine when I'm out in a restaurant in just a white wine glass. That way I can smell it, I can taste it. I don't have to have effervescence all the way up my nose. And I also like to drink it in a, you're very welcome, Dad. And I also like to drink it in a coupe glass, just like this. And I like these because they're fancy. It makes me feel special.
Yeah, I mean, we're breaking myths here. I mean, and I think at some point maybe they used to serve, champagne in these coupes, and people moved away from it thinking, oh, that's so, but it just stands to reason. If you want the aromatics, you want a wider surface to get that, into your nose, so to speak. And a flute just sometimes doesn't cut it. So that's a great point. And again, I was going to make the observation again that the French often serve the champagne at the beginning of the meal. And the reason for that is that the wonderful component of champagne that we all love is its acidity. And when you're drinking the champagne before you start a meal, that acidity, starts your saliva glands, the Pavlovian kind of reaction to the champagne that gets your, the glands going. And when the acidity goes down your throat and hits your stomach, it starts to, hit that stomach and essentially awaken it. And when the stomach awakens, it says, hey, this is fantastic, I'm hungry. And so it's a subtle way for restaurants, and the French who know what they're doing related to food and wine, it's a subtle way to get your appetite kick-started, and so that you're, ordering an extra dish, or you're really, really hungry for when the menu arrives and you're ordering. And again, it's also a wonderful way to celebrate the special fact that one day we will all be in a restaurant, and we will be served, and it will be a pleasurable experience. But I've lived most of my life with this idea of don't pine for France, waiting to get there. Bring France here to where you are. And in doing so, we get to enjoy the champagne. We get to have a wonderful time together and see all of your beautiful faces. And we get to, share some food and experience this wonderful glass together. So we take what we can get. And I think it's, if I go way off, philosophical here, that's one of the meanings of my life, which is, don't covet that which you're looking to go and wish you were someplace else. Bring that place, into your life, into where you are right now. And cheers to that. Okay, so I kind of want to keep things rolling. And the next thing I kind of want to do is to what I previewed before. I want to show you a video. We're all going to kind of see the harvest of and in this harvest video from Adrien Nieto, you're going to see the process that I showed you a picture of before, of how the champagne makes its way from the field and into the facility. And then we're going to show you the facility as guided by us by Julien Tixier. So Julie is going to optimize and then make the screen whole. And Ryan's going to play a little bit over this video, and we'll cue Ryan as well. So just a moment while we get that rolling. I don't have to tell you to take another sip, but yeah, that's where we are. Let's see. Okay, Ryan, great job, man. Thank you so much. That was that nice? I mean, hopefully it was a nice little process. You got to see the grapes and the tractor and, you know, taking it into the village and then the squeeze and the initial press and checking for a pH and checking for also the sugars, you know, that they got it at the right time. You saw Julien for quelques instants there as well, kind of writing down and making the notes. We'll see him just a moment again. When he takes us on a tour of the cellar. But, you know, I love that. And again, Ryan, thank you so much. It just sounds even more magical with your music to it. So thank you very much. So let's see. There's really not much of a transition here. The next thing I want to do is kind of, you know, feed you right into, right through Chigny les Roses. And what you're going to see in a moment is the video of our cellar tour, and Julien is going to be speaking, but he doesn't speak much English. He's going to be talking in his native tongue in French. Ryan will still play us a little bit of chords, but we've also have it subtitled, so you'll be able to understand a little bit of the tour and what's happening here. So I'll introduce you to Julien Tessier, the fourth generation winemaker at André Tessier.
Bonjour David, bonjour tout le monde. Aujourd'hui, je vous invite à visiter ma cave, le domaine Champagne André Tixier et Fils. Je suis moi-même Julien Tixier, la 4e génération. Allez, suivez-moi. Nous arrivons à la première partie de la cave. Ici, c'est un petit musée. C'est les outils qu'on utilisait autrefois. Ici, au mur, c'est des photos de mes ancêtres. Ici, vous avez mon grand-père. Et autrefois, nous ramenions les raisins à l'aide des charrettes et des chevaux. Ici, vous avez Dom Pérignon et mon père et moi-même. Donc nous sommes dans la cave familiale, c'est une cave creusée dans la craie, ce qui permet d'avoir une température constante été comme hiver. Il fait toujours environ 10-12 degrés. C'est mon arrière-grand-père qui l'a creusé avec ses mains. Allez, suivez-moi, vous allez voir, nous allons voir une partie de la cave plus moderne qui a été construite dans les années 2000. Donc ici, c'est un lieu de stockage et un endroit où on stocke les vins de réserve. Vous pouvez trouver des cuves traditionnelles et vous pouvez trouver aussi les fûts de chêne. La particularité des fûts de chêne, c'est qu'ils sont fabriqués avec les chênes de mon village. L'idée, c'est de mettre des raisins de mon village dans des chênes de mon village. Allez, suivez-moi. Ici, nous sommes à 9 mètres de profondeur. Voilà, au dernier étage de la cave, vous pouvez voir le stockage de bouteilles. Et ici, les différents modes de remuage. C'est ce qu'on appelle le gyropalette et le pupitre. Voilà, on a fait le tour de la cave. Je vous souhaite une belle journée, une belle dégustation et prenez soin de vous. Bye bye.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't that great? Thank you, Ryan. Again, just well done. We didn't get to hear too much of Julien's voice, but hopefully the subtitles kind of gave you, and if you couldn't really see the subtitles too much, you got a visual view of the cellar where all of the champagne is stored. And it's just some highlights just to make sure, I don't know if you caught it, that really stand out for me. One, the first section, before we got to a more modern look, the first section of the cellar was dug out by hand by his great-grandfather. Just ridiculous. And then in 2000, they kind of, from the other direction, built out the whole rest of the facility, and then connected it and built it and connected it to the part that was originally there from his great-grandfather. The second point to make about that video is super powerful, and it was toward the end where he said, this tells you the degree of authenticity that goes into these champagnes. And in that, not only are the grapes, obviously that, let me put it this way. There isn't a single grape that's purchased that goes into the champagne that he makes. Every grape is farmed by hand and harvested by hand by Julien and his team. There isn't any purchased grapes that go into these bottles. And it goes even so far as when the wine is aged in the barrels that he showed you, the wood itself that made the barrel is from the village as well, from the surrounding village of Chigny-les-Roses. So the wood and its characteristics, the grapes and its characteristics are literally all representative of the very place that these grapes and that these barrels that hold the grapes are from. And that is a whole amazing level of being there. And it is literally the definition of what terroir means. It's pretty powerful. And so what I'm showing you in the background here are some of the labels that you'll see on the bottle itself. If you have the bottle, turn them around, and you'll see just under where it says imported by AVID Vines, you'll see this first label right here, which is a designation for France for all agricultural products. If you make an agricultural product in France, it could be cheese, it could be beef, it could be wine, grapes. This is a France standard that says you are a durable, sustainable producer of this product, following an audit that looks at the sky, the water, and your land use. Very, very tough to get. The second label right here is specific just to the region of Champagne, which is even a higher standard than France. It's the Champagne's label of durability and sustainable methods. It's a 160 point audit that covers all of the basic uses and ensures the cleanliness of the production and the non-existence of chemicals or anything else in the making of the champagne. The third label right here is the symbol for récoltant manipulant. Sorry, it's the symbol that means owner grower, and there are other symbols that. But if you're the farmer, we call this farmer fizz, and that's what that label literally means. It's the farmer who put the grapes in the bottle. So brief tour of the labels, a little bit of the takeaways from Julien's tour, for which we're extremely thankful for, and there we are. So with our time, yeah, we're right on schedule, which is a wonderful thing. So, I think at this time what would be great is kind of make sure you have your questions ready and start putting them into the queue. If you don't want to write your questions, you just literally type the word queue, and Julie will kind of make sure that we have an orderly pace of questions from Heather's parents all the way to, I see you guys, drinking and enjoying this. So start to formulate the questions that you have based on what we've kind of learned. But I think it's time while we do this to, refill our glasses a bit. Why not? Pourquoi pas? And let me just say again, thank you very much, Julien, for making that video, because there is no Wi-Fi 30 feet underground. So merci, Julien. And we appreciate everything that you do to make this as delicious as it is. So I think what now we're going to do is we're going to transition to Chef Adrien, who's been patient and who's been, frankly, a madman cooking and preparing an assortment of dishes. And this is going to come, are we going to be able to taste all these dishes that he's made? No. But we have a plan, and we'll reveal that to you in a moment. But there is one dish that we tried to send out ahead of time, and I apologize. There may have been some technical issues in getting to the video and the recipe, but all that's working now. So the link that you may have thought didn't work now works. And here's what we're going to do. Adrien, I've created a mise en place, meaning I've created all of the ingredients, and Adrien is going to walk us through a chicken salad recipe that everyone has. And if you prepared for it as well, then start assembling and such. But we're going to go kind of through what I created, and there's some deviations, right? Everyone who makes a dish, is going to add their own personality to it. And so it'll be funny to see what Adrien is saying, and then when I'm saying, well, this is what I'm doing instead. And then from there, we'll go into these other areas that Adrien has prepared. So, Adrien, if you can, do a quick background on your amazing experience. You are an incredibly talented chef. Tell the good people a little bit about yourself while I pull out the main part while I get ready.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. And just a really quick background is I'm originally from Southern California. I got into cooking. Cooking was kind of always there, but then it became more prevalent that's what I wanted to do in my 20s when I was going to school and working in restaurants. I tried to do kind of things on my own, a little guerrilla catering, if you will, that didn't go so well. But it turned out positive because I ended up on a show called MasterChef. Gordon Ramsay is the producer and the main judge. And that's on Fox. They're like on season 11 this year, I think. I was on season 2 way back. But it was a great time. I'd do it all over again. I was lucky enough to get to second place. And that, long story short, just brought me full circle to Dallas, where I worked for Frank Underground, where a lot of our viewers may know me from or have dined at. That's how I got to know Heather. And together with Heather, we've collaborated and we've done amazing wine pairing dinners. And so this is really fun for me. I've always loved wine, especially, growing up, it was around me in California. But I got to say the last, 5 years, I've really fallen in love with it. I want to learn so much about it. And my favorite thing to do is usually at the beginning of cooking, you're trying to pair the wine to the food, right? The chef's like, I'm going to make the menu. And then the sommelier's like, okay, I'll figure out the wine. What I love doing now is you tell me about the wine. Tell me what you experience in the wine, what you taste in the wine. And then I like to make food that complements the wine, actually.
Love it. So let's dive in. We'll make this, I don't think anyone's going to be following us along, but if you are, good luck. This will all be, again, we will have the recipe and a proper video of Adrien who shot the making of the dish yesterday. So we have that, and that'll be part of our thank you email that goes out. So fear not, fret not. You'll have the recipe, the ingredients, and you'll have the video of Adrien making the dish, which is what I use to prepare it. So you'll have that as our thank you in our thank you email following. But kind of walk us through it a little bit, Adrien, because I have everything here. I've started with, literally, I have everything that you're ready. So go ahead and kind of tell us.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad you have. So this kind of came, when we first started talking about this, two major things. One was, I loved how you told me that this champagne really lends well to complementing against things, that are big and bold with spices. When I tasted the wine, I love at the beginning, I got that little bit of sharpness, that dryness, that acidity that you're talking about that I love, that people look forward to in Champagne. But I love that roundness that comes out from that grape that Heather was talking about. I'm not going to butcher the word. My French accent is horrible, by the way. But I love the roundness and the richness that this Champagne has. And I can see exactly why it lends itself to spices. So that's one thing. The other thing I was thinking is the weather, right? We're getting warmer. And also because of the situation we're in with quarantine and staying at home and things like that, how can we make something simple, easy, but also maybe it's a little elevated and special and complements the wine as well as the weather, and that's where we have the chicken salad here. So it's basically a bunch of chilled veggies that you can go through as you combine them with the shredded chicken. The big thing about the chicken, like I said, guys, you can roast it ahead of time. You bought a pre-roasted chicken, and that is easy. That's great. It's smart. You can get so many meals out of that. Let's see you assemble it, and then we can talk about some of the things that you're putting in there as we go. Okay. And then I can tell you at the end how to use it for different reasons. Okay.
So I've taken a chicken, roasted from Costco, brought it home, took about, chopped it up, just kind of cut it up.
I just want to ask, do the dance moves come with the recipe?
I'm so happy right now that, the Champagne.
I just want to know, are you going to do the dance moves when I make the recipe?
I will be there. And Adrien was dancing in the video too. He's kind of dancing. So what do you want?
I can see Adrien dance though. I don't get to see you dance all the time. I want to see the dance moves while you're making the recipe.
Here we go. All right. So this is jazz, by the way, right? This is what it's all about. Brian knows this. I mean, it's kind of like we're putting the food together. This ain't baking, right? This isn't science and you got to get it to the teaspoon. This is jazz. This is like, this is like a great dish because it's like a refrigerator dish. Take what you got and put it in and start with the protein, which is chicken, and then see where it goes, right? So
exactly. Yeah, very freestyle. And I love the big thing that you said, what I love about recipes in general is being able to customize them to your liking. So as you're going to combine these vegetables, hey, maybe some of you don't like raw carrots, right? Hey, if you don't like raw carrots, you're not going to hurt my feelings. Take them out. Put something else in that you really enjoy. Something like cucumbers, right? Is, again, that's cool cucumber is going to go really good at this time of year.
Okay, so walk us through. I got the first ingredients right here.
What do you got there? That's your celery.
Right. So celery goes.
Yeah. So then
celery. Yep. By the way, in addition to celery, I have this as well. Again, this is my first deviation. This is fennel, chopped fennel.
Yeah, fennel's going to go great. That anise flavor, right? And very, very crunchy. So very smart. I like what you're doing. Great and soft.
Next,
and then continue. Go ahead with that. Everything. Show me what you got there. Any other variations?
Okay. And we got carrots.
Yep.
Chopped raw. Yep.
Perfect. Yep. Everyone's got those little, baby carrots in the fridge for their hummus and whatnot. So I thought, why not?
Exactly. Then I didn't have regular potatoes, so I used sweet potatoes that were boiled, and then
that's a great idea.
Bam.
Yeah, I think a little sweetness is a good balance against the spices. Okay.
Bam. These cool little ramekins are easy. This is the mise en place part, right? This is like you do all the hard work. All right, you know what I'm talking about.
No, that's a great. I love that you're showing people at home that this is the best way to do it instead of like, oh, I got to go to the fridge or I got to go to the fridge. What's really smart, what you're really doing, what makes this really easy and simple too for people to do at home is you just chop all that stuff ahead of time, have it laid out, and then toss it in the bowl like you're doing.
Bam. So here are red peppers, raw, ready to go, chopped in, chopped. Okay.
Yeah. A little brightness, a little acidity, a little pop.
That's right. We eat with our eyes, right? So you got to have some color. Right.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly. So
you eat with your nose. You eat with your nose and your eyes.
Oh, toasted sunflower seeds.
Nailed it. So I didn't have Marcona almonds. I had these instead.
That's a great idea. Exactly. So what I mentioned in the video that you all will be seeing later. For example, some of you might have nut allergies or you just don't like nuts in general. That's a great substitution right there. You can use toasted peanuts, anything you want, really. Toasted seeds. That was a great idea. What's that guy right there?
These guys are apples. The apples with a little bit of lemon to keep them from browning.
Perfect. Again, some more acidity, a little bit of sweetness.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, then I got weird. I got a little weird because you were talking about like, oh my gosh, you were talking about, well, sorry, what this is a combination of what I grow in the backyard. These are green onions, and a friend of mine gave me these garlic blossoms, which are called scapes, I believe, scapes.
Oh yeah, and they're in season and they're wild too. You can find them in most parts of the States. If you want to go out on your walk, you know, trying to get some fresh air and some sunshine, you can look up, Google that, and you can find them. You can forage them.
Right on. Yeah, yeah. Just don't forage the poison ivy or don't forage the, you know.
Exactly.
Okay,
don't eat the hemlock.
Don't eat the hemlock, right. So all that we just talked about is literally now in this bowl, right? It's in the bowl with the chicken, and we're ruminating. And now we've talked a little bit, how do we bind everything? So I've got half of the stuff, and this is where it all gets a little jazzy, but you know, you talked about some mustard, you talked about aioli, some garlic aioli, you gave some products from Trader Joe's that would be a good fit that you can, you know, make. I didn't have those products, but I had some moutarde en grain, some like French mustard. And this, I had a very mustard. Well, but this was the bottom of the barrel. So I literally added red wine vinegar. Like when I'm at the bottom of something delicious like this, you don't just try to scrape the last of it and say, well, that's it, I throw it away. I actually like pour liquid in it, and then it becomes my shaker, you know, and then I have like some red wine vinegar. I have some red wine vinegar. I have some homemade, oh my gosh, what do you call it? What do you call total brain gone. It's tahini, but
the pureed sesame seeds.
Correct. But I expanded it, and now, it's like a tahina. It's tahina. And so that's in here, and the mustard, and a little red wine vinegar, and some olive oil, salt, pepper. Also, let me show you this. Okay. So in the video, you talk about the cumin and the whole. After all of the raw ingredients, then we talk about the spices. And so I actually toasted my own cumin.
Look at you getting fancy with a mortar and pestle too. I also got to say, I like the idea when you added the tahini to the mustard, because that tahini is going to complement the sunflower seeds that you picked out very, very well. That just roasty, toasty flavor. Oh, love it. And I also love what you have, the whole grain spices there. Something that David did there for everyone that's watching. It's very important. A lot of people recommend it. You toast your spices at home. You can do it in a non-stick pan or like a steel pan, just low and slow until you can smell it. And that's going to really bring out the natural oils and really bring a lot of flavor to whatever you're putting it into. Yeah.
Okay. So in it goes remuer, a lot of liquid now in here, but getting soaked up or binded and getting tossed around in this big bowl. And so now, here we go. I've got it all in here. I live with 3 other women, one I'm married to, and then my 2 daughters, and they're all kind of perched, like vultures is the wrong word. I don't want to be, they can't hear me at the moment, but they are, if I don't deliver it, it's going to get ugly soon. So now. It happens
everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go to plating. So I have a plate, nice little, plate, and I'm going to scoop some of this on, and like a nice I didn't have strawberries, but I have kind of like a carrot jam. And then I have some more of these green onion, green parts to add a little bit of color.
Beautiful.
You suggested a carrot, or how does at the end, how does like the strawberry? Yeah.
So that's something I loved when you mentioned that something that you said you always taste in this particular champagne is the unripe strawberry. And here at home, Heather was nice enough to deliver me a bottle prior, just so that I can get to know the wine and see what it would go with. And unripe strawberry is something that I really kept getting as well. And, it's, unless you're growing your own, or you know a farmer or a certain supplier, it's a little difficult to procure unripe or green strawberries. So if you have them at home, you can just toss them in a little bit of vinegar. If you like spicy, you can add a little bit of chopped chili, whether that's jalapeno, even pickled jalapeno. and put that right on top. And that acidity will kind of almost make the strawberry taste like it's, as if it's unripe, and will really bring out those nuanced flavors that you were talking about in the champagne. And that looks lovely. That looks like what you did. That's a perfect sharing dish, and you can just set that up with some toast, some crackers. If you want to do gluten-free bread. I like to do tostadas, which is something my grandmother used to do. She would take leftover roasted chicken, make a roasted chicken salad, tostadas. I think you did a great job. I loved how you improvised. I love the jazz. And that's exactly what I wanted you to do with the recipe is take it and make it your own and use what you got at home.
Okay, so thank you very much, Ryan. Thank you, Adrien. That's super. I mean, high praise indeed. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to one day cook with you. So that will be pretty amazing for me.
Thanks.
Thank you. But let's now kind of walk us through what, because before we got on the call, I think you exploded yourself because you were so happy to be out and shopping ingredients. But let's see what you created yourself.
Perfect. Let me pull out 2 dishes. It'll just take a couple of seconds. I had them chilling, ready to go, and then I will walk you through, show you what they are here. So yeah, when I first got the champagne and we were talking about doing this virtual tasting, the chicken salad was something was super versatile. I knew people could have, buy a pre-roasted chicken, or they might have some chicken product in their house. But again, you can also go plant-based. But once I was able to go out shopping to buy stuff for today's tasting, I got inspired. And one thing we were talking about is Mother's Day is coming up, right? And one thing that Heather reminded me of, that we're in the restaurant industry, and Mother's Day is one of the busiest, if not the busiest day for restaurants. Unfortunately, this year, it looks like that might not happen. While I was shopping, of course, I was thinking about that thought, and I was thinking about my own mom, and I was thinking, what would I make for her and gift her a few of these bottles, obviously to drink on Mother's Day, but then for her to have later on. So if you were not able to get your bottles of this lovely champagne today, you can still continue to get them, and it could be a great gift for Mother's Day. And also, if you want to spend time with them or make them a meal, you can make this ahead of time, drop it off at their house, anything that comes to your mind, whatever makes you comfortable. And you don't have to make all of these. You can make some of these. We're going to send out an email with these recipes later on. Like I said, I got to the store and I got inspired. So first off, one of the all-time #1 things that goes best with champagne is what? Caviar. So chips and dip. This is something really easy. These are just store-bought chips. I like jalapeno, and I got some regular sea salt. Spicy and bubbles for me are just, they're a winner every time. Now with the caviar, let's see. Tell me if you guys can see that pretty good. Can you see that?
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
So basically what I did is I took creme fraiche and seasoned it with lemon juice, lemon zest, and Japanese spices like togarashi. Again, the champagne just perfectly balanced against big, bold spices. Fresh chives, dill, and I snuck in a little ranch powder for that umami that the roundness of the champagne has. And we have some Osteria caviar here, and we also have some salmon roe. You don't have to get that fancy. You can just pick up whatever fish roe you might that you can find at most grocery stores. And this is a really cool starter, when you have friends over, or even for yourself. Hey, you want a bottle of champagne and watch a movie alone during quarantine, Netflix and chill. This is a great movie snack, and it will complement the champagne perfectly. I promise you that. You will go to this every time. After that, let's see if you can get a nice angle of this. I made a nice crudo of sorts. I did a dinner.
So beautiful.
Yeah, I did a dinner a while back, and I was looking up something to try to because we customize menus for our guests, and they were recently moved here from the Philippines. So I made what's called a kinilaw, which is, or not original kinilaw, my version of kinilaw, and it's a Filipino version of ceviche, where you don't marinate it in citrus, but you do it in vinegar. And so I use pineapple vinegar, and I made what's called this yellow here, what's called a leche de tigre in Peruvian ceviches or Mexican ceviches. And the big spice that I use in this is turmeric. And so that turmeric, exactly, it just balances really well with the champagne. There's coconut milk, habanero. Also, something that Heather mentioned, there was all this beautiful stone fruit that you tasted in the champagne. So in this crudo mix, I put peaches, plums, nectarines, These things are coming into season. You walk into the store, the smell, it's summertime. Again, this is a cold dish, works great with the weather, works great with champagne. Moving on to something more savory, something that you can easily do at home. This is arancini. So arancini is just leftover risotto. You can look up your favorite risotto recipe, no big deal. Let it sit in the fridge for a day or two. Roll it up, some breadcrumbs, fry it. I made a nice little herb aioli on the bottom there. But on the top, I took green apple because that's something that is kind of subtly in the champagne as well. And I tossed that with a ras al hanout, which you can also find that pre-made or curry spice if you want. I just did that, a little bit of lemon juice, a little bit of olive oil, and fresh mint. And this is also a great party snack, great appetizer. You can make these any size you want, and it's a great way to use leftover rice and risotto. Finally, for the main course, I do have one little dessert after that, but the only other thing that I can think of that is equal to or just falls short of caviar and champagne is fried chicken. So I have made a giant fried chicken.
Raise the roof.
Yeah. So this is a fried chicken sandwich. I got some beautiful brioche bones because something that you often find in champagne is that toasty, buttery bread, yeasty notes that are in there. So I toasted the brioche in brown butter. I just took whatever mayo and mustard I had in my fridge and I added harissa, which you can also find harissa in any grocery store, whether it's Central Market, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's. Put that in there. For the fried chicken itself, I marinated in a little olive oil, my home curry spice, and then rice flour and breadcrumbs, shallow fried it, some house pickles. You can use fresh, whatever you want, tomatoes, some peppery greens, because that's, springtime. We're in late spring going into summer. And naturally, the pepperiness is also kind of like a spice note that is going to balance well with the champagne. Instead of French fries, I got just some fingerling potatoes here that I boiled, let chill, fried up real easy. One thing I was going to say to you, let me get a little spoon here. The only thing that's better than caviar and champagne or than fried chicken and champagne is fried chicken and caviar with champagne. So you take some of that. Yeah.
Yes.
You take
you
some of that.
Drop the mic now.
Yeah, you take some of that caviar dip you made. You put it on your chips, your fries. If you want to buy frozen fries from the market, no big deal. Roast them in your oven. You want to do these fingerling potatoes, really easy. Now you have the king of champagne meals, backed up with spices, fried chicken, potatoes with creme fraiche and caviar. Now, one last thing before we go, and thank you for your patience, but I was thinking you often want to end things with...
Please keep going.
You want to end it with something sweet, right? A little dessert. And often what we do for Mother's Day, because it falls on a Sunday, we want to eat a little earlier too. We really enjoy brunch, right? So really, you can find a really simple recipe for this. I made a lovely chia seed pudding.
Oh my God.
And so I took coconut milk, almond milk, turmeric. I had some passion fruit concentrate, a little vanilla extract. Again, with the berries, we have some strawberries here. I had medley of raspberry, blackberry, blueberry, a little grapefruit zest, honey, and then toasted Marcona almonds on the top, which you can use sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds would be really good. Any other crumble you can imagine. And I have my little garden outside, and this is what's called lemon balm. And you can just use some fresh mint if you want, or basil, and you can put it in a stemless wine glass so people can see the colors and the layers. But there you have a beautiful Mother's Day brunch or a beautiful meal or snack for any time that I think would perfectly complement this wine. I love champagne. Is one of those things when you ask most people that are into wine or songs, what's one of your favorite things? Champagne. You can have it anytime, any day. It goes with everything. And I got to say, this is one of the most balanced, perfect champagnes I've had in a long, long time. The one last thing I'll say before you go, you might be tempted if you're having this at brunch and you might know someone who wants to put a splash of OJ in there to have a mimosa. I would say don't do it. Don't do that. What I've done instead, while I've been hydrating here, I took frozen peaches and mangoes, again, some turmeric, some ginger, and I made agua fresca. I basically made a puree. I added it to my water with some ice. And now, instead of having, a mimosa, I can properly enjoy the purity of my champagne, and I can get my little mimosa fix while staying hydrated. There you go, guys.
Wow. So,
Yay, that is awesome.
first reaction, Adrien, to this amazingness is, the silver lining to COVID. You have way too much time on your hands, and it's to our benefit. That's one. And two, I'm telling you, I didn't know you were doing any of this, and it all started with like, chicken salad, and then boof. So again, your outside the box thinking is to our benefit here. Let me ask this question because again, I don't even know. You're saying that all these recipes will be available in like the follow-up that we'll send out to everybody?
Yeah, after this weekend, I'll send you something that you can send out to everyone that's here watching us, and that way they can make one or all of them or however they want as time goes by.
So that's amazing, and that's great. It's almost like a cookbook for crying out loud that we're giving out. This chicken salad recipe, I'm telling you, it's pretty incredible. You're inspired by you because I wouldn't have done this. I wouldn't have done half the things that you kind of like led me to do, and that the flavors are spot on and amazing. It's just so good. I call it like slap the napkin. AVID Vines May. Slap the napkin good.
Drop the mic.
So,
drop the napkin.
It's dropping the napkin, dropping the mic. Incredible. Thank you. You've given us, you threw the encyclopedia and turned on the fire hose to us. And but we love it. It looks like everyone else was digging it as well. I mean, awesome. We don't even have we don't have sports to watch anymore, but yet every dish you're rolling out, it's like, he shoots, he scores,
Yeah.
This is madness. It's madness. But
Thank you so much.
You're a culinary madman. You're a culinary madman.
Oh. Thank you for the lovely wine. Lovely.
All around. Thank you. So we're kind of, wrapping up here, but I do want to go into some Q&A because it's important. You guys have a wonderful amount of patience, and we certainly see a couple of questions that have been floating up here. This is what it's about. We wanted to spend this hour kind of sharing in this community that we have here online. It's just us, and we went through some beautiful champagne. We did a tour of of the fields. We went into the cave, and we came out and had a nice little discussion about the food. And I'm just so grateful for all of you for taking time out of your lives to settle in and enjoy what is, around most of the country here, a beautiful day, to experience the champagne with us. So Julie, kind of guide me through a little bit. Is there a question that we want that someone's asked that we can answer?
Not seeing a lot of questions, but everybody is loving the recipes and the champagne.
Fantastic. Heather's dad's question, which was, I forget what his question was. Oh, the only 3 grapes for champagne?
I do have a question here. I don't know if you saw it,
Go ahead.
David.
Just came in.
I have a question about the shape of the flute. Can you talk more about that? And I would love to talk about that because I am a huge proponent of glassware and the type of glassware you should use for different varietals of wine. And I never really thought about glassware until I was at a Malbec tasting, and they had made this, Riedel had made a Malbec glass that was perfect for Malbec, right? So Malbec typically, actually it's one of the 5 grapes that come from Bordeaux. However, Argentina has made it a very popular grape. And I never really believed it until I was tasting Malbec in a Cabernet glass, and then this glass that they made with Malbec. And so as I was kind of going through all of this and looking at different glassware, I'm not a proponent of the flute, and I'll tell you why. The flute came about in the First World War because glass was hard to come by. So we made this flute, and we made it, as Americans, we made it very popular because it takes up less glass. And glass was not readily available in the, back in the teens and then and even into the 20s when, the flappers were around. So we went away from the original coupe and the wine glass to drink it. And when you talk to people from France, people who are in Champagne and how they drink it in a white wine glass so that they can smell it You don't have to stick, well, in a flute, you can't stick your nose into it because you can't even drink it. It's kind of awkward. So if you're doing this and you want to get the flavors from the champagne, you can smell it this way. You don't have to stick your whole face into it. Or if you even want to go have the English drink it into the coupe glass, it will allow you to get the flavors of it. Because we were talking about people eat with their eyes. People eat with their eyes and with their nose. They really eat with their nose. They smell it, and then you go back into the Pavlov dog syndrome, and you smell bacon, and you're like, oh my God, bacon, I want some bacon. It's the same concept. You smell the wine, you go, oh, this smells so great. I really want to drink this. Well, you can't smell it in a flute. So I encourage you, when you go out to eat, as we're reopening, to ask, can I have my champagne in a wine glass? So that you can smell it, you can taste it, you can get all of the effervescence that comes from champagne, and how it gives the champagne just a whole new world of prospects. You can take all of those things that Adrien just talked about with the food and then pair them with the champagne, and you can feel and you can experience it, and you can drink it with your nose, you drink it with your eyes, and then when you finally taste it, you're like, oh my God, this was exactly what I was looking for.
Right.
And it becomes an experience as opposed to how do I navigate this flute thing? I'm not a fan of flute. Sorry.
Well, that's super. Hopefully we answered that question. And if anybody wants to do a shout out, just kind of raise your hand or just put it into the chat, and we'll open up. Give us your feedback as well.
We have one more question. We have another question that came in. Why did champagne become a celebratory drink over wine?
Oh, so champagne, this is very interesting. So champagne back in the 40s, and actually in the Second World War, you don't have to get rid of all your flutes, Scott, I promise. You can still serve out of your flutes. Champagne became a celebratory thing during the Second World War, when the wine fur, which was in Nazi Germany, they were going in, and the champagne as a community were storing their wines in walls so that the wine fur could not come in and take their wine from them, because this person, and it was a job, was to go into all of these different places in Europe and take their great wine and send it back to Germany. So champagne said, no, you're not taking my wine. I'm going to hide it. I'm going to hide it behind brick walls. I'm going to hide it down in caves. I'm going to do anything I can to make sure they don't get my really good wine. And then as they came out of the Second World War, it became a celebration. We've survived this. We've gone through this horrible experience, and now we have all of these things, and we can celebrate. And there's actually a great movie on Netflix, not Netflix, on Amazon Prime called The Collection. Yes, Mom, I told you to go watch it. And they talk about champagne and clothing and how it made people feel beautiful again. This was a luxury. It was, oh my God, I love being in life. And that's how champagne became. I'm celebrating an awesome experience in my life now. And that's really kind of where it came about.
I know that it was also
tribe on champagne.
I love it. I love it. Let me also let me kind of start that as we wrap things up. Just give special thanks, and I have to give special thanks to the partner in Texas, Heather, that you do a lot of work with, and that's rootsandwater.wine, rootsandwater.wine, all spelled out, which is our official kind of partner and retail partner that can ship the wine anywhere in the country. It comes out of Texas. Anywhere.
Anywhere in the country. So, we can even send it internationally also. It's a little more expensive, but we can send it internationally.
Let me just say thanks, obviously, to you, Heather, for being here, for giving us your knowledge and all of your talents. It's a really it just wouldn't have been the same without you. In addition, I certainly want to thank Adrien for being here. Your chef, you did an amazing job, and again, we're just privileged to be in your company and see all your creativity, literally, as it was happening. And so, special thanks. And certainly to Ryan, who's going to kind of play us out a little bit, because we're not going anywhere. We're going to play some more music. But Ryan, thank you so much for really doing some great improvisation rather. And we really appreciate it. This is the slide I wanted to show before. These are the social media handles, and in the thank you email that we'll send out, these are the people that you can follow. This is Queen of Grapes, is Heather. Ryan is on the music. Adrien right here is also, as you know, is going to give us the real bounty from the thank you. This is the follow-up from this call. And obviously to Julien Tessier, Champagne André Tessier. So, un grand merci, Julien. Beaucoup, tout le monde a adoré le champagne. C'est à toi qui l'a fait et continuez, profitez, continuez. Et n'arrêtez pas. Hein. Donc, so thank you very much for all this. Restaurants have obviously melted away, frankly, and some of them are trying to reopen, but it's debatable whether they can survive, and many won't. And so one of the things that is important, is we wanted to make sure that we gave some thanks to Adrien and to Ryan, but that also, if you wanted to, you can tip these individuals. And here on the slide, I believe Julie is sharing her screen. These are the Venmo links to both Ryan and to Adrien. These will also be in the thank you emails that we send out. But if you enjoyed the music and if you enjoyed the recipes, please consider donating what you can to Adrien and to Ryan for their talents. Because the only people worse than the restaurants and chefs that are being affected are live musicians. We're not listening to live music as much anymore. So we're especially thankful to Ryan and to Adrien. That's it. We can kind of open this up a little bit, but we're going to let Ryan play. And thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to seeing you on June 6th. And with Mother's Day coming up, please order from avidvines.com or rootsandwater.wine and prepare. For those of you who are not anywhere in the country, but for those, especially in Atlanta, there are some additional retail outlets in Atlanta that you can visit. But certainly in Dallas, Roots and Water. So again, thank you so much, and cheers. À la bonne vôtre. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. We're gonna end it. A big thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. It's a pleasure to see each and every one of you. I can't thank you enough. Let's go ahead and let's actually just go ahead and unmute anybody. Everybody who's left, just kind of unmute. And let's see. Unmute. Thank you all.
Awesome job.
Thank you, Farah. Thank you, Farah. Thank you, Christine. Thank you. Thank you, Scott.
We did the whole bottle. Question: are you supposed to drink the whole bottle in 1 hour?
Yes. You got the second bottle, baby. It was good.
No regrets. No regrets. No regrets. Hydrate. No regrets.
White bottle, good.
I like it. Yeah. Here, put it right there in the front. All right. How do you can see how many people?
I think you can.
Yeah, hey, Billy.
Bye.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Thank you, Christy.
Love it. Now that looks like a martini glass, David.
Well, it serves both, really, but it's not as fancy as Heather's, but this is what I use to get that to get all the smell and the aroma in.
Well, I'm just going to get my shot glass out now because, I mean, now all these different kinds of glasses, it's very confusing.
It's Billy.
So fun. Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Davey.
Loved it. Loved
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys. Love you all.